Hey everyone, it's Daz. So we're in the new studio of sorts. Not really. Uh, we're in the C10. Got an '84 Chevy C10. It's all been done up. I love this thing. And I was out for a drive, and I figured I'd come back home really quick and just talk about the latest unveiling for Nintendo Switch 2, which has been interesting to say the least. I figure what better way? Keep it old school, keep it nice and simple, just talk to you guys in a truck. So, hopefully, get back to making some more content. I know it's been really dry as of late, but I've just been focusing on my own life in the last few months, and it's just been one thing after another, and channel kind of took a back seat, and hope you guys understand. This is terrible lighting, by the way. So we're off to a great start. I feel if I put you over there, then you can't see me. I guess that's better. So anyway, let's talk about the Switch 2. So I'll be honest with you, the Switch for me was a great console within the first 2-3 years, and then after that I basically kind of got bored with it. It doesn't mean that nothing came out that was worth playing. After that, it was just not enough to justify having the system around. And then more importantly, definitely not enough for me to think of it like it was my main console. And I moved on fully to PC after the Switch. I had a PS5 as well, but got rid of that. Say what you will about the Switch, and I have plenty to say, but the PS5 makes the Switch look like god tier material. I mean, the PS5 was an unmitigated disaster as far as I'm concerned, with a library that's been very pathetic, especially if you get rid of the fact that 90%, if not more, of its library is also attainable on the PS4. It really doesn't bring much to the table. It really doesn't have that much worth to me, and hardly anything was coming out. I mean, the fact that your game of the year is an Astrobot sequel is saying something. On top of that, outside of Gran Turismo, every other game that I even could ever want to play on the PS5 is on PC, so I've been fine. Anyway, it's not about that. It's just to say I wasn't exactly looking forward to this, but I will say, out of the three console makers, Nintendo's the only one that will ever get my business again, simply because they make unique games that I generally can't find on Steam. So I was curious to see what they would do. The hardware unveiling, the first one like a month or so ago, wasn't really that great. It was kind of lacking energy, and it seems like that's more or less kind of continued now. Things are better, don't get me wrong. I like that they went into more detail, but I'm this feels like kind of Wii U-ish. This feels like the cool down after a really great party. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel like it has its own thing. Like, even the fact of them calling it 2 at the end was rather peculiar, because I was thinking about it. It's like the only time they ever really did something like that arguably would have been like the DS to the 3DS, but that's not even like a number thing. That's just 3D versus not 3D. They never really had just a generic 2 at the end. Even like the Super Nintendo was called Super Nintendo, not an NES, or the Game Boy Color instead of Game Boy. You know, they've always done something that's been a little bit more creative other than just like the Sony 2. And it feels like that attitude is kind of pushed forward in everything else. So first thing I noticed, you got an LCD screen. How are we going from an OLED to an LCD? That seems backwards to me. I think that's kind of stupid. Um, I understand why. It's because Nintendo gets things, whatever they are, whether they're screens or chipsets, systems on a chip, basically. Whatever it is, they get things for cheap. They often will buy out someone who doesn't want said chip or screen or whatever it is anymore, buy a few million units for pennies on the dollar, and then that's how they go ahead and make their system and make it super profitable. And to their credit, they're really good at making profitable systems, albeit a little bit too much. So this thing's going to cost $450 fucking dollars. Like, really? And then if you want Mario Kart World along with it, it's a cool $500,000. And here's the thing, man. If it was like a Lenovo Go or Switch OLED or something, you'd at least have multi-generations worth of software at your disposal. You wouldn't have to pay for online. You have a proven online infrastructure for online multiplayer. And more importantly, the games are cheaper. Just way, way, way cheaper. They want $80 for a physical game. Not always. The Donkey Kong game was $10 cheaper, I think. But it seems like the top tier AAA Nintendo first party title will be $80. And I have a problem with that. I know there's been a lot of Nintendo, fanboys out there both defending the price of the system and the software. I have a genuine problem with it. If you look, there's an article I came across a couple days ago by PC Gamer. By the way, I'm sorry, my stomach's growling. I haven't eaten yet. And it said that 92% of Steam users are primarily only playing older software right now. In most cases, more than one generation old. So when they say old, they don't mean like a year old. They mean like 5 to 10 to 15 years old. 92%. Now, I know this is not Nintendo, but there's a reason for that. And it's because people do not see the value in these newer games for these prices that they want. And for every Elden Ring, you have a Monster Hunter. You have, something that's going to cost like these EA sports games. You have something that's going to be $70, $80, $90, $100. And here comes Nintendo asking for $80. And the problem I have with it as a gamer isn't necessarily what Nintendo feels their shit's worth, even though I don't believe it's worth that at all. It's about the fact that this will be the catalyst for every other developer out there to use as an excuse to up the pricing of their games. This is it. Like, everyone was waiting for Grand Theft Auto. Nah, this is it. This is it. And I know what you're saying. Well, value of the dollar has changed a lot, even just in the last 5 years. They got to make their money somehow. Okay. First off, games used to be about this expensive when we were kids back in the day for a reason. Yes, the dollar was worth less. But there was far fewer customers. There were way less gamers. I mean, back then, a really good selling game was a million seller. Nintendo themselves would have a little badge on the front of the N64 boxes or the Super Nintendo boxes. And that badge meant it sold 1 million copies. And that was considered like top end. Most games didn't come anywhere close to 1 million copies sold. Hell, there are tons of NES games that only sold like 30,000 units. And those companies that made them, many of which are still around today. It was profitable. Well, the way that they've been able to go ahead and continue more or less with the same sort of pricing structure despite inflation over the years has been the fact that they sell a crap ton more units. Yes, the budgets have also gone up, but in general, if you're able to make a mega blockbuster and sell 5, 7, 10, in the case of like GTA, million units, you're making money. You're making a lot of money. You couple in the fact that you also have DLC and season packs and costume packs, and they're making their money. I don't feel bad for them at all for charging $59.99 for a new title. And frankly speaking, the value is just not there because the games suck these days in general. Like I said, you'll have your Elden Rings, you'll have your Marvel Rivals, you'll have, your really well-crafted games, but how many times have we come across situations where we're given an Assassin's Creed Shadows or a Star Wars Outlaws or a Cyberpunk at launch or Jesus Christ, I can go on for years. It almost seems like that's the norm. Shove out crap, maybe fix it later. And while Nintendo has a much better pedigree when it comes to the quality as far as like bugginess of their stuff, where I start having a problem is you're releasing games that look like they belong on a goddamn fucking PS3. Even with this new Switch too. Like there are people who analyzed that Nintendo Direct, and it wasn't the video in general. It was just the gameplay. So that means it wasn't like they shot it at a low frame, right? A low frame rate, like the whole video. No, it was the gameplay. They analyzed it, and it was like getting like 25 frames per second on certain parts of Mario Kart World. For a racing game, under 30 frames per second. Like, I don't want to deal with that. It's going to make me sick. Hell, I get nauseous playing a lot of my games on my PC when it gets to 60. No joke. Feels weird. And it's like, I'm not expecting this to be some sort of monster. But you gotta price it like it's not. $80? I don't see it. And I know I'm gonna get some people and they're gonna say, oh, but Daz, what you don't seem to understand is, gameplay over graphics. Alright. Fair enough. I'm not a graphics whore anymore. Plus, I think we've pretty much plateaued, at least on the PC end of things. I don't think we're going to see life-changing graphics anytime soon. But, geez, man, I feel like I've been playing the same fucking game for like 4 generations in a row now. Like, is Mario Kart really that much different than Mario Kart on the Wii? Or on the Wii U? Or the Switch? Well, those two games are the same. So those are really proving my example. They're all more or less the same. It's this year's Mario Tennis. Or this generation's Mario Tennis. This generation's Mario Party. This generation's Mario Kart. This generation's Smash Brothers. They're all very similar. They're not reinventing the wheel. And pardon my pun, but when they do try to reinvent the wheel, we get that wheelchair basketball sort of shit. Is anyone like beating down the hatches for that game? Did you see that? You play as a bunch of people who can't walk and then play basketball like that? And you're using like the Joy-Cons like 2 computer mice, which really feels forced. I gotta be honest with you, because it looks great in the presentation, man. Start thinking about that in real life. Okay, so I'm supposed to have a party game where I'm supposed to be able to use that like a mouse. What if I don't have a coffee table? I've got a room where I don't have a coffee table. So now I gotta use like what? A pants leg? That's not gonna be super accurate. The The sofa? I'm not going to like whip out like a mouse pad. I don't know. And then if it's portable, then you're not using that setup to begin with, which kind of defeats the entire point of games that are going to be centric to that. And I'll be honest with you, I've seen Nintendo come up with a whole shit ton of different ways to play. And I can be really honest with you, if the Wii U tablet failed, this is really going to fail. Because no one's going to give a flying toot about the mouse functionality in like 6 months. Mark my words. It doesn't work for a portable. It doesn't make any sense. And not to be one for nothing, but Lenovo literally had the same frickin' type of technology in the Lenovo Go, and no one cared about that either. So, anyway, I'm at a point where it's just like I want to get excited about this shit, but I don't feel like there's any passion behind them. This is safe Nintendo. I don't like safe Nintendo. Safe Nintendo is the Nintendo that we got after the Wii. And then we got the Wii U. Safe Nintendo is what we're getting after the Switch. Now we got this thing. Safe Nintendo is what we got going into the 64. And while I like the 64 to an extent, and it was my first console of that generation, it was not the best console of that generation. Let's be real. Nostalgia's a bitch. Kind of like what we're seeing with the GameCube. Everyone's freaking out about the GameCube. Oh, I can play F-Zero GX. Wonderful. Can I have a new motherfucking F-Zero? Oh, but Miyamoto, there's nothing that you can add to F-Zero GX to make it a better experience. Okay, fine. If that is how we release Nintendo games, what the fuck have we added towards any other frickin' Nintendo property? Outside of games like Zelda, which have genuinely progressed, is Mario Kart that much different? Hell, HD graphics and multiplayer. There's two things right off the rip that you can go ahead and add to F-Zero that would make it a justified experience and bring it into a new generation. But that's their excuse. There's not enough to radically change to justify a new one. Okay, what about Smash Brothers? What's radically different? Not much. Smash Brothers. Hell, Brawl was basically, we made the game slightly slower and we put online play. That justified something. And then don't even get me started about this. Well, I don't remember what it was called. It was called something like getting to know your fucking system, and not that long. But basically, there's this game. It's like Welcome Tour or something like that. I forget what it's called. And it's like literally just that. It's a tech demo. It's a welcome tour of your system, getting you to understand what the system is, how it works. You have to pay for it. I remember back, it wasn't even that long ago. Hell, it's been, I think, every other Nintendo console. You got a packing game. It might have been a pile of shit, but you got a packing game. And most of the time, it wasn't a pile of shit. I shouldn't have to pay for a Nintendo Land. Do you know what I mean? I shouldn't have to pay for that, which doesn't even look as good as Nintendo Land. I shouldn't have to pay for a 1-2 Switch. These tech demo bullshit launch window games that they do, it really pissing me off. I don't know. And then you get these people out there that are like, well, the physical games need to be more because it's a physical item and blah, blah, blah. And it's really important to keep the physical games. Look, I get it. And as a PC gamer, if there's one thing I do wish I had was like box art sometimes. You know, it does suck to have everything completely digital. But I'll just say this. You're in it whether you like it or not. First off, it's already been confirmed that the cartridges for Switch 2 don't have a game on them. It is a key to queue a digital download. That's it. So in 30 years, when we're 70, and those servers are long shut down, you ain't going to have shit. So, save yourself, what was it, 10, 20 bucks? Go get yourself a fucking digital copy. It's all the same. There's no collectability. Get some empty Switch cases, print off the fucking cover art. God knows you ain't getting a manual. So, what does it matter? Just do that. Save yourself some money. And that's the thing. They get the suckers. They get the diehards. Oh, physical games, and they don't think about it. Even when they're told the truth, they don't want to. I don't want to think about it. I want my bookshelf of bullshit. I want my Toys R Us room. It's just junk. There's nothing on it. You don't own anything. You own a license, just like a license for a digital download. And when that server's done, and you want to go ahead and get a new game, or your Switch dies, or your hard drive, no, they don't call them hard drives, but you get my point. Your storage, NVMe, whatever drive inside the system dies, and the servers are down, good luck to you. And this is right off the heels of them suing everybody, suing the emulators, which are legal, suing anyone who makes anything that even remotely looks like their stuff, like that Pokemon sort of game, that Pal World game on Steam. And what do? Hey, don't copy us. Don't play your old games. But here's 3 GameCube games. Oh, you want to go buy that $60 controller, by the way. Here's 3 GameCube games. Enjoy. Oh, yeah, that'll be a monthly fee, by the way. You don't own that either. Oh, and, yeah. That's it. Like, that's it. You want to play anything else? Basically, fuck you. Anything that's not on that NES, Super Nintendo, N64, store, no, you're not playing that. You're not owning anything. It's not like the eShop back in the day. So I'm not feeling it, man. I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy. If you like it and it's your jam, great. And I'm not even saying it's going to be a bad portable. I'm just saying the first time I saw Mario Kart World, I didn't even realize it was a new Mario Kart. So, why am I spending $500? And for you people who collect and make fun of gamers like me, who are getting games for anywhere between like $1 and like $40 for most of the Steam games you could ever really want to play, especially if you wait for a sale, which doesn't take long. And God knows Nintendo ain't going to have any sales on these $80 games, just like always. You really going to be able to convince me that this is the better way? And it's not like there's no portable alternative. You have the Steam Deck. You have the Lenovo system that just come. There's that Lenovo Go that's running on Steam OS even. They have a Windows version as well if you care about that sort of thing. But it's kind of like, I don't need them anymore. And they didn't do anything new to really separate themselves from everyone else who's already caught up. And that's been my biggest problem. Is it nice to see that the hardware's been up to date? I mean, up to date? Yeah, sure. But I mean, the fucking Switch was what, like 8 years old? It didn't take much to have any kind of form of improvement. As far as the camera stuff, that actually surprised me. I'll give them props for that. It was nice to see them actually semi-embrace some form of online communication, because that's something that really ticked me off about the Switch, especially coming from the Wii U and the DS and the 3DS, which we had like messaging systems or voice chat or whatever we had. To go to the Switch and have none of that made it really hard to communicate getting into an online match with friends. So I like the fact that they are leaning into that social aspect. What I don't like, though, is like, you need this camera, you need the... I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But I'll be honest with you, I'm not feeling that same aura around the system. I don't see a lot of people excited. People are talking about it, but I don't see that same level of excitement. And if I had to be brutally honest with you, it seems a similar level of trepidation as the Wii U launch. Now, do I think it's going to be as bad as the Wii U? No. But I do not think it's going to sell like the Switch. And you know what? I'm actually excited about that. Do you know why? Because desperate Nintendo is good Nintendo. The best systems have come through their desperation. They were desperate when they came into the market. That's why the NES was so good. And they were desperate when they saw a genuine competitor. Because they came into the scene as basically like a dead, barren landscape, right? Everyone had already died off. When they saw the Genesis kicking ass, they're like, oh shit, we really got to try. But two hilariously successful consoles in a row, I think they thought their shit didn't stink with the 64. GameCube went in cocky. There's horror stories. There's tons of stories out there about how they treated development, how angry they got that gamers' tastes were changing or they wanted certain things and they just refused to give it to them. They didn't want to. They saw games like Halo take off. They didn't want to. No, screw you. We're not doing anything like that. How dare you? It wasn't until the Wii that they actually sat down and actually thought, okay, we need money. What do we do? So bring on desperate Nintendo. Bring on another era of desperate Nintendo. In fact, make them all desperate because, frankly, at this point, Sony and Microsoft are just as bad, if not worse. Anyway, hope that was fun. Let me know what you think. Am I out of my rocker? Or do I know what I'm talking about? Let me know. Talk to you guys soon. Daz is out.